Hey everybody, welcome to Unlimited Commander. I'm Adam, and I'm joined as always by my lovely co-host Matt. Matt, how's it going?
You know, it's going okay. As you can see, we finally got rid of the beard. It wasn't because I had chicken. I just got tired of looking at it. Kind of feeling a little bit of shaver's remorse, but
As well you should.
other than that, I'm feeling okay. So, I actually wanted to share something really funny. I was talking about this on stream the other day, but I kind of thought about it again and wanted to bring it up again. Recently, my partner and I have been like, kind of staying away from going out too much. We don't have a lot of money saved up right now. We're kind of making things happen, so we are being careful with our funds. And a couple weeks ago, she had something come up at work that uh, was a cause for celebration, so we were going to go out. And then something else came up immediately after, and we decided not to go out. Um, and This past weekend, we had a moment together, and out of nowhere, she was just like, "Do you want to go get some breakfast?" And I was like, really happy to go out. And she's just like, I know that you like to go out and be able to like go spend some time together outside of the house doing something that and sometimes it costs money, and sometimes we just need to spend that money. And that really made me feel good. And I was thinking about it in just terms of like, for people out there, if you have a partner or you're trying to get a partner or something like that, knowing the kind of things that they like to do and being willing to do those things is a really good way of making things feel a lot better, even when you're in a bit of dire straits. Sometimes you can afford $30 to go out and maintain just to have a good night and make things happen.
It's true. There was not much of a study necessarily, but just like an anecdote. During the last like downturn in the economies that we somewhat share, one of the industries that continued to thrive were those like small sized purchase, but like I don't know how to like Starbucks, for example. Starbucks really
Yeah.
thrived when other businesses were closing because there was something about like I deserve this because it's been poor lately. It's been
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable lately, and like taking those moments to just like remember that like it's not that bad. It
Mm-hmm.
sucks, but it's not that bad. And so it's good because then, especially in this way that you described it, you get to take that time as a couple and go out and spend some quality time. And like you said, like yeah, maybe it costs a little bit, and you don't do that every week, but it's
Mm-hmm.
good to be able to take that time. I agree. We're the same way, actually. Wing nights is something we like to do, even though that it just costs money and whatever have you, and it's cheaper to drink the beer at home. But sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you just got to get out. Just got to get out.
Absolutely, absolutely. So remember that, folks, just in case you need it. What about you, Adam?
Yeah.
How have things been going?
Not so bad. Weather's changing. It's kind of nice around here. Had a little bit of a mouse escapade running around my house like a good portion of this week. Got rid of said mouse in a very humane way. Do not worry. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Managed to catch it as it ran into a box of stuff, and I just took the box outside and emptied the box until the mouse ran away outside. So no mouse. Squints was no help at all. Uh, Basically made friends with the little guy. Such a pain in the butt. Libby was watching Squints stalk the mouse and like chase the mouse while I was streaming a couple nights this week, and not getting rid of the mouse at all. Did no thing that you would expect a cat to do. Possibly because, and I've heard this before, like if you feed your cat, they lose the ambition to hunt for food. They just play with their, a mouse will just be another toy to them, a
Mm-hmm.
self-moving toy. So they don't actually like feel the need to go and chase the mouse in a like in a way that
In a
they
hungry eating
in a hungry
fashion.
way. But anyway, yeah. So that's that. That was my big adventure this week. I don't have much else, but
Yeah. You know what's funny though is that I had heard that before. Like I know cat owners who they're actually very careful that if their cat does kill a mouse or something, that they wait until it eats it because they like want the cat to know that you can't just kill things for sport, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. That killing animals is only toward the adventure of eating, which is
Mm-hmm.
very interesting to me because some of those people that I know who do that will go out and kill for sport without any issues. They'll go fishing for fun, they'll do whatever, and like it's not like they're trying to get food for the day or whatever, just kind of doing their thing. So it's a little weird double standard thing to mess with your cat that way. But I do think that the idea behind that is right. Like,
Yeah.
you know, kill an animal
Maybe
if you need to kill an animal. Don't do it instead.
maybe that's what we'll do is next time those people go to kill an animal, like we just leave the deer on their dinner table until they eat it.
Exactly.
There you go.
Just, just drag it out, and throw it in the back of their trunk. This is in your trunk
Until you cut it up and
until
turn
you
it
cut
into
it up and
venison,
turn it into something. Yeah.
which is delicious, by the way.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh dude, deer jerky. I'll do deer jerky all the time, like literally
Yeah,
all the time.
deer sausage,
Yeah,
big
but
thing here.
I don't hunt. I'm.
Oh no, I count
It's
on
not.
other people for that.
Yeah, I live in a modern society. We have grocery stores. That's what I live in.
The guns I
That's the life I
like,
live.
they go pew 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 like laser beams. I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just as a quick, like, I don't know if anybody remembers this. It was so long ago. We're building a cube, and
Hey.
hey, last time we talked about it, we had come around to a different idea and changed how we were designing it, in saying that we were going to try and focus on monocolored. And then since then, if you've heard, we've played another cube that was built by members of, like, friends of ours, a friend of ours, I guess, and I think that it kind of like opened both our eyes to a couple things. So, how are you feeling about our cube right now? Just give me your like your general consent, your general understanding of it.
Okay, so as a reminder for people out there, the idea that we settled on the cube was sort of a monocolored cube, where we were going to try our best to push monocolor solutions and make it so that people felt good about picking these monocolored commanders and doing what they want to do, whatever that may be. Upon working on it, like I've doubled the number of cards that there were in the cube since the last time that we talked about the cube, and I'm still having difficulties like feeding in new ideas or trying to keep things moving so that it's in a forward progress. I doubled the number of cards in one sitting, and since then I've not been able to really add anything. And I think our history will show that was on May 5th, which
Mm-hmm.
was about 11 days since the recording of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's such a slow process right now. And I think the main reason why it's such a slow process is because we're too narrow, and we need to be able to do two color and three color. And I want people to feel like they can draft monocolor, which means we still need to add quite a few monocolor cards. But I think that it's also important for players to have that flexibility. And then after having played a cube with a bit more power in it, I do feel like you can put power in cube without it being a power cube. And the fact that it's sealed will regulate some of the issue of the fact that you're playing good cards in the place of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wanted to go back and touch on the idea that we'd had before of throwing in some three colored commanders and then finding two color variant things to kind of fit within our scopes of stuff and just broaden the aspect back out.
Okay. Yeah, I would. I feel what you're feeling about the power thing. I myself have been like leery about it, and we learned. See last week's episode. We did learn that you can be a little bit more flexible with the power as long as you continue maintaining your balance inside the cube. And I think that's more
Mm-hmm.
important, is just like, if you're going to have a lot of strong things, make sure you have the appropriate strength in your removal to deal with it, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And we had already started dealing with some of that anyway, because we were already looking at indestructible things and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
we already started focusing on like exiling removal
Yeah.
in at least white and a couple other things. So I think that like, I think we can actually spread out in like the power range. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, like, not to say like we're gonna go hog wild and like power nine and the whole shebang or nothing, but I think that we've got a little bit of wiggle room on making things a little bit more spicy.
Absolutely. So one of the things I was thinking about was originally we had 10 three color commanders, one for each tricolor situation, that we had taken out of the deck because we wanted to focus back in on the monocolor. Now
Mhm.
that we're back, I think we want to put most of these back in, because they do fit what our one color ideas we're wanting to do, just
Mhm.
extended in every direction. There's a couple of them that I think we're going to switch out, but the ones that I definitely think I want to add back is I want to do Mimeoplasm, Kaikar Wind's Fury, Gave Guru Spores, Girid, Zira, Anhelo, and then we also have a two color card, Anguish Unmaking. We could go through each one by one again to kind of talk about what's going on, but essentially the notion of it is that all of our monocolor stuff had an idea behind it.
Mhm.
And if you take those ideas and combine them into threes, these commanders embody those things that we were doing. The ones that I skipped are ones that focused in on enchantments, and it's just we haven't been adding enchantments in a meaningful way. So making it an enchantment focused commander probably isn't the play.
Fair enough. Yeah, because you had skipped over Tuvasa again and Zur Eternal Schemer. You also skipped over Calamax, but I think that was maybe just like a spice hit.
Oh, I actually forgot to hit. I just didn't see Calamax. Actually, we should. I think Calamax is okay to throw in.
Okay.
I think we're okay with that.
Cool
Yeah,
beans.
just didn't show up on my list of things. So while I was thinking about it, I was also thinking about what kind of things do we want to do to this to make it stand out, to have its own flavor and fun going into it. So Adam and I were talking, and I had looked up cards on Scryfall by tag, and we looked up multi-character cards. These are all cards that are two or more people in the same legendary creature. We were originally looking at it because of the team ups from March of the Machine. It turns out, though, there's quite a few other ones that aren't from the March of the Machine team ups that are still cool ads and cool things to do. So we might bleed into those as well.
The first one we want to look at is Esper.
Okay.
So if we're looking at Esper and we're looking at multi-character cards, our choices are Send Triplets and Alenda and Azor.
Well, let's talk about Olinda and Azor and what it does.
Sure. So Alenda and Azor is a 3 white, blue, black for a 6/6 Vampire Knight Sphinx. It's a lot of words. Has flying and ward 2, and whenever it attacks, you may pay X and Esper. So that's a bunch of mana. If you do, you draw X cards. Ooh, that's interesting. And then at the beginning of each end step, you may pay 4 life. If you do, create a number of 1/1 black Vampire Knight creature tokens with lifelink equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn.
First thoughts on this is that right now we have not yet gotten to the draw card portion of our cube.
Mm-hmm.
So we have no idea how powerful this will be with the ideas of the draw that we're putting in the deck. That being said, by itself, I think it's fine. Like it doesn't have lifelink on its own. We don't have anything in the thing that creates lifelink. So it's not like we can like make it a swinging 6/6 with lifelink and then pay 4 life to get 6 creatures. Having tokens is good for the white portion of our situation. Having things to sacrifice is good for the black portion of our situation. It touches a little bit into what our blue is doing. I think it's a fairly good pick.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be so worried about the other stuff anyway, because even if it's like, okay, so you brainstorm by chance, and then like what you're gonna end up doing, you pay 4 life to get 4/1/1s,
Right.
like, and then if you do end up paying into that, like X and 3 is massive. Like, so you want to get three
Yeah.
one ones, so you have to pay 6 if you don't have anything else, and even if you do end up
Mm-hmm.
tacking that on, like, I think that this is fine just because like it's really expensive. Like, it's
Yeah.
a Blue Sun Zenith,
Absolutely. Yeah. And
right?
and yeah, with it costing as much as Blue Sun Zenith, and the fact that it has to be when it attacks, so your opponent has chances to get rid of it before then, blah blah blah. Yeah, I think this card's great. I think that would be a really good fit. Also, I don't want to play Send triplets
No,
because I don't
no, you
hate I
don't.
don't hate my opponents that badly. They're all
Yeah,
my
like
friends.
that's not a good card to put into a cube, I think. Anyway,
We're
like if that's the case, like we're all playing the decks we drafted. You want to play my deck I drafted as well? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that's the a good choice there.
Okay.
Nice ad. What's our next one?
Our next one is we're looking at Bant. So we're looking at white, blue, green. Our options for that are Catilda and Lear, and Kyranos and Tiro of Miletus.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
Kianos.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Kianos and Tira of Miletus.
Kineos?
I think
I don't know how to say
it's
that.
if we work from the way that other things in this work, it's yeah, it's either Kanaios or Kineos.
Hit
Uh,
us up in the comments. Tell us how badly we butchered that name.
Yeah, if you know more Greek than me, I'll be
Oh,
surprised, but go for
and
it.
also we can't pick that one anyway because that one is a four
It's
color.
four
I was
color,
incorrect.
yeah.
Okay, so Catilda and Lear is
Hmm.
blue, white, green for a 3/3 human, and whenever you cast a human, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback till end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. How bad do you want to go into human, like specifically?
I mean, I don't think that human tribal is a good thing to put into a cube. I feel like humans are a little busted, and it's really easy to kind of go overboard on accident.
I
Um,
mean,
that being said, I'm not
one
playing humans.
like
Like,
it's just every time you cast a human spell. So like, and
mm-hmm,
then also it's a split deck anyway, right? Like you're going to be using it for you're going to have a card in the graveyard,
mm-hmm,
and then you're going to cast a human and give it flashback, and you still have to pay its whole cost. And then remember,
yeah,
flashback gets exiled out of the graveyard anyway. I don't think that this is that busted. And even if you
no,
filled the cube full of humans and had good humans, this
mm-hmm,
isn't like full on. I don't think it's full on like human themed. I think
yeah.
it's like you're going to incidentally play humans, and then because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to play humans in the cube anyway.
Yeah, I agree, and like especially since it's so mana intensive, right? Like there are probably like constructed decks you could build where you make enough mana that it's like okay, now play every human and get every sorcery and instant back on whatever. But in sealed, not likely. You may play a human and a sorcery or instant that you played before on the same turn,
Yeah.
but that's
Like
probably
same
it.
same thing. Like what are you gonna you're gonna get your brainstorm?
Exactly, right?
You know what I mean?
So yeah, I think Catilda and Lear is totally fair. We're probably going to end up fleshing out more tricolor stuff later, so why not start there and see where we go?
Yeah, and this is fleshing out ones that we've got
Hmm.
holes in right now, but I mean,
Yeah,
there's a good chance that we can change this anyway.
yeah.
Okay, this one's not going to be super good, but let's see what happens. The next one is Mardu.
Mardu.
Our one option in this for multi-character cards is
Uh-huh.
Kroxa and Kunoros, which is
Hey, it's
uh,
my favorite card.
it's 3 red, white, black for a 6/6 Elder Giant dog with Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink, and whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may exile 5 cards from your graveyard. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it basically gives something escape.
Yes. Escape 5.
Yeah, but no mana.
Yeah. Here's the thing about this card. I have drawn this card a lot on Arena, and meaning I have not gotten to play it. In sealed formats where I was playing it, where I was getting it, it just doesn't work because you aren't getting enough cards in your graveyard. There's not enough things to happen. That being said, for the practices of a cube, one, you can get more cards in the graveyard. There's a lot more, like our black has a lot of sacrifice stuff going on in it, So there's a fair amount of things that you could be doing to get cards in the graveyard. But the fact that you can't get a ton of cards in the graveyard means you're not going to get this effect on repeat, which is good because it's a very intense effect on repeat if you can manage to make it happen. I think just it being a 7 or 6/6 Vigilance, Menace, Lifelink is going to be a major threat for people to take care of.
Probably enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it swings like it hits like a truck.
Yeah.
If nothing else, right?
And when you think about Mardu in general, like a lot of the Mardu stuff ends up being either like a form of aristocrats or some kind of big dummy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you do have things like Ishin of Two Worlds or whatever, where all of your ET or your on attack triggers are doubled. Is that right?
If attacking would cause an ability to trigger, it triggers an additional time.
And then there's a couple of the Ikoria ones, which have kind of weird, like, make token things, like the... Can't remember what it's called, but it's like the cat bird. Yeah, there's also Snapdax that deals damage. Like you sack a creature and deal 4 damage or something like that to a target.
Whenever this creature mutates, with Snapdax, Apex of the Hunt, 1 and Mardu for a 3/5 Dinosaur Cat Nightmare with Mutate for 5. And whenever this creature mutates, it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker and opponent controls, and you gain 4 life. That's not that exciting, actually.
It's not super exciting. And, in comparison, neither is Kroxa and Kurnos, but at least Kroxa and Kurnos gives you something to hit with.
So I wonder then, like, if we're not over the moon about either of these, let's just take a quick look-see here. And just see what we like, if there's anything else we like. Because Mardu's a weird spot.
It's a very odd color combination.
It is. I'm just taking a quick scroll through here and, like, seeing if there's something. Let's go this way, too. So what are our monocolored themes right now in those
for red, white, black? So Reds is going to have a little bit of a shift, but currently Reds is spellcasting. So pumps from spell casting sorcerers and instants, all that kind of stuff. So I mean, on the other hand, though, that does put cards in your graveyard for Kroxa and Kurnos. White is tokens and black is sacrifice effects.
So there's not gonna, like, I actually don't hear a lot of, like, graveyard filling in this conventional sense. Black is going to be kind of, but, like, and then white is going to be tokens, which doesn't put anything in your graveyard.
Other things we had considered were like Queen Marchesa. We decided against like Kalia, either of the Vast or Zenith Seeker. But, like, that's the thing. I'm looking at this little list of Mardu commanders, and it's like it's such a weird color combination because sometimes it has legendary matters type things going on with it, like Shanid. Tariel is kind of funny, where Tariel is a Reckoner of Souls is 4 in Mardu for a 4/7 legendary angel with flying vigilance, and then choose a creature card at random from target opponent's graveyard, put that card onto the battlefield under your control.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
Yeah, it's
Do not
funny.
get me wrong. I don't know that this cube will have enough to like fill other people's graveyards to the point where you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have like enough valid targets.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think that for the purpose of moving forward, and we can revisit this later, but just to have
Mm-hmm.
something in the slot, I think we should just go with Queen Marchesa.
Okay.
Queen Marchesa is just a nice little like puts Monarch into the thing. It makes a little token sometimes, and then if we find something that fits better as we flesh stuff out, but it's just
Yeah.
it's not too offensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm down with that. I think that that's a good way to start.
So we have now decided that we're back to a multicolored cube. We
Yes.
don't have to go like super hard into it, but it gives us somewhere to like lean into. Oh, I'm sorry. You also said Anguished Unmaking.
Yeah, we were thinking about English unmaking, so we can hit that in as well.
Also, we still have left in like the various 2-color commanders that we were putting in here. I'm not off leaving them in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be a good idea to just like leave that stuff in for now. So that puts us at like 20 multicolored commanders so far out of our like 111 cards.
Okay.
That's manageable.
Yeah. And so the question here becomes: do we want to throw in a couple of more cool dual color commanders that could potentially help in the 2-color ranges
Yep.
and still fit around?
Yep.
I'm in for that. So one of the ones that I saw right off the bat that I was kind of like, this is a cool idea, Ghost Council of Orzhova. So it's white, white, black, black for a 4/4 spirit. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life, and then pay 1 and sack a creature to blink it.
Okay. So as far as 2-color ones in the multi thing, I'm just going to start working our way through some guilds.
Sure.
So for Azorius, white blue, our
Mm-hmm.
option is Errant and Giada. 1 white blue for a 2/3 human angel with flash and flying. You may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may cast spells with flash or flying from the top of your library.
Okay. So one of the things that we had talked about when we were talking about doing blue was not just making it so that blue had all the flyers, right? So I think that just having a 2/3 white blue with flash and flying is just like a solid base card. As long as we're not super leaning into it, I doubt anybody will be able to put together a deck that'll be like, and now I cast every flyer off the top of my deck.
Like, I wouldn't worry about it. So I will
Yeah.
put this into a bit of perspective. Do you remember when we were playing in Lights Cube and you had the Vivian that lets you cast creatures off the top of your library?
Mm-hmm.
How many times did you use that ability?
Exactly 0.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about it. I would say, like, if you want to chuck some in, like, flash cards are just good. Flyers are going to be incidental, especially in, like, the white-blue range. We don't have to, like, go ham on it.
Yeah.
But, like, as far as, like, things like we're going to put Muldrifter in, playing a Muldrifter off the top is pretty dope.
Yeah.
I'm in. Stuff like that. So I'm not opposed to this. I don't think that this is going to be a problem. I see this effect on so many things and it just never comes into play. It's like, how many things are like, you can play this off the top and it just never happens.
Right? I mean, it's one of those effects that if you are building a constructed deck around it, it's great. And then otherwise, you got yourself a 3 cost 2/3 that you can play anytime you want. It has flying. Go nuts.
Go ham.
Yeah.
Put it in the way of something. Cool, whatever. I'm not worried about it. I think it's fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Where are we next? Look at this thing here. It gives me Dimir. All right. Well, let's put some Dimir colors in here.
Dimir's going to give us at least 2.
Ooh. There's a good couple in here. Okay, so our 2 options, I'm going to start with the new one and then go to the old one that we might like better anyway. We'll see.
Okay.
Hidetsugu and Kairi
Mm-hmm.
is a 2 blue, blue, black for a 5/4 ogre demon dragon with flying. And when it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. Then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. So,
Brainstorm.
And when it dies, exile the top card of your library. Target opponent loses life equal to that mana value. And if it is an instant or sorcery card, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. That is one option.
Mm-hmm.
Option 2 is Giza and Geralf. Giza and Geralf. Sorry, Geralf. I always
Mm-hmm.
get that one wrong. That's a soft
Sorry.
G on them. Giza and Geralf. 2 blue-black for a 4/4 human wizard. And when it enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards. And during each of your turns, you may cast a zombie creature spell from your graveyard.
We are running quite a few zombies. And I think that Gisa and Geralf is a very fun card that does not get to see enough love a lot of times. I think people sleep on it. Their quote unquote better blue black zombie choices. And I mean that's true. Will Helt's great. Uh
Well, that's pretty good.
but I do like this. I think that it's appropriately powerful, and so far we have quite a few zombies, so it should be usable.
Yeah, I like it also because it's going to give us more access to the blue self mill that we were looking at doing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that's all it does, if you go ham on that, then it's just like a 4 mana mill 4 in your zone.
Yeah.
Wow, we're really cooking along here. I'm not mad about this at all. Next we have Rakdos. We only have one option.
And it's a fun one.
I love it. I thought you hated it.
Let's go.
Rankle and Torbrand. 1 black, black, red, red for a 3/4 fairy dwarf with flying, first strike, and haste, and then a bunch of text on it about when you.
Yeah. You deal combat damage to a player or battle. Each player creates a treasure token. Each player can sacrifice a creature. And if a source would deal damage to a player or battle this turn, it deals that much +2 instead. And you can choose any number of those when you deal combat damage.
Yeah, it's up to you when you deal the combat damage to you. Mm-hmm. Not just like an opponent be like, you did combat damage to me, I will make a treasure. No, mm-hmm. no. Settle down.
Yeah. I feel like I should explain. When I was talking about this card, when we were talking about the team up cards in general, what I was talking about was more the idea that being able to mix incompatible tribal types can be a little wild, and then making cards with a bunch of text is almost always wild. It tends to be rather difficult to deal with, especially something with 3 keywords and then other things. In a cube, I think this card is silly and fun. I don't know, mm-hmm. I did get to play with Rankle and Torbrand in a sealed deck that I did on Arena. And I mean, I did win quite a few games. I went 5-3, which is sort of my MO. I'll go 7-0 the first time I do sealed event, and then from there on I'll go 6-3 or 5-3. And
must be nice, champ.
One day we'll get you there. But Rankle and Torbrand it's a good draw. It feels good to play. And I mean, it costs 5 in Rakdos. I mean, how often are we going to have to deal with opponents really getting it out there, staying out there, and being a problem? More often than not, we're going to be okay, you got it. You hit us all once. You gave me a treasure token, and that let me do a board wipe. Now you got to wait 2 more turns before you try again.
Yeah.
Which gives me plenty of time to get a draw spell or a kill spell or something. So
I mean, I've always liked Rankle on his own. So mm-hmm. I mean, it just creates a fun little mini game when you do hit with it.
Yeah, and that extra +2 damage is really cool because of what we're doing with red already, the spellcaster thing. Because then it's okay, Lightning Bolt does 5. That's a solid hit.
Yep. So. Okay, well, I long time ago, I already moved on and got the next line ready. I already put Rankle in. Rankle and Torbrand is already in.
Let's do it.
So this one, we do have a few options, and I think you're going to have to be a little bit picky. I know which one I like for a number of reasons, but we're now on to Gruul, so red-green.
Mm-hmm.
We have Mina and Den Wildborn, which is 2 red-green for a 4/4 elf ally. You may play an additional land on each of your turns, and you may pay red and a green and return a land you control to its owner's hand to give target creature trample till end of turn.
Okay.
We have Kogla and Yadaro, which is 2 red, red, green, green for an ape dinosaur turtle, which is just fun to say. It's a
Mm-hmm.
7/7, and when it enters the battlefield, choose one. Either it gains trample and haste on a turn, or it fights target creature you don't control, and then also has an ability of 2 red-green and discard it. Destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. Shuffle this into your library from your graveyard, then draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just a good card. I quite like it.
Yeah.
Also,
I think Kogla and Yudaro is the choice here. I just think it's a fun card. Like it's fun to play. It's got a lot of versatility. If you end up running it in your I say 99, but whatever 59 or whatever we have deck list set to, it's going to be good to be able to do the discard effect, but paying 6 to get a big boy on board that's expected.
The only other one that I would have chosen over it for like preference reasons was Halana and Elena Partners. I just like that card.
Halana and Elena Partners is a really good card, and to be honest, it fits our +1/+1s on green, so that's kind of a nice card. I'm not saying we're not going to throw it in. I think we might end up doing that before the end, but Halana and Elena is such a fun card. It does so much good for particular decks. Also can kind of get out of control. If you can get some counters on it, oh boy.
It's true. It's true. Okay. I have moved us on to Selesnya.
Okay.
This one has like a weird assortment of things that I wasn't really expecting. First and foremost, we have the 2 Tristani cards. Tristani Discordant and Tristani Selesnya's Voice. Those both really like tokens.
Between the two, I know that Selesnya's Voice will probably end up being too good, because we are running Geared as a populate situation. So the fact that it will be able to give us a bunch of life gain if someone's playing Geared can get pretty big pretty quick. But the other one, Discordant, is pretty okay. Like, it just creates a couple soldiers, gives you the ability to keep creatures on your side of the field. And
I think Tristani Discordant is going to end up being too boring for the cube, if I'm being totally honest about it.
I think that's fair.
It just gives a +1/+1 to all your creatures, which is a general anthem. 5 mana for a +1/+1 to your creatures is kind of like whatever. And I guess it makes like 2 1/1s that are actually 2 2/2s, I guess, question mark. Like, we can, like, hold on. There's still Ghalta and Mavrin. As well as Chorus of the Conclave sucks. I'm not getting into that.
Chorus of the Conclave has Forest Walk. No.
Yeah, Chorus of the Conclave costs 8 to start with, so
yeah.
But Ghalta and Mavrin 7. Sorry, it's 3 green, white for a 12/12 dinosaur vampire with trample, and whenever you attack, choose one. Create a tapped and attacking XX green dinosaur creature token with trample, where X is the greatest power among other attacking creatures. Or create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is the number of other attacking creatures.
Yeah, I think Ghalta and Mavrin is the choice, though, right? Like, it's the most interesting. It has some cool play patterns if you do stuff. But, I mean, it's just 7 cost 12/12.
Yeah.
Make them have it,
Yeah, basically. I don't see this being, like, if you get to the point where you can, like, slam down your 7 mana 12/12 commander, I probably am also in a position to deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't see it being too powerful. And I mean, it doesn't have haste. So you've got a turn to answer it before you end up eating 12 1/1s.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, is that its extra abilities are balanced so well, right? Because it creates an XX green dinosaur, greatest power amongst other attacking creatures, so not it. And the other one is the number of attacking creatures. So if you're just swinging with it, it creates 1.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's built in such a way to make you have to attack wide or attack with several heavy hitters in order to hit that. It's pretty good. Honestly, I'm kind of thinking about throwing this into Ultra Magnus, even though it's not an artifact.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
just because it's kind of fun.
We already added an Orzhov one, so let's look at Is It. Do we have any good Is It ones? Oh, there's that one. Uh, Baral and Kari Zev
Mm-hmm.
uh, is our only new one, but we can look back to Tybor and Lumia as well.
Mm-hmm. So Tybor and Lumia is a very interesting card to me. It's two, a blue and a red for a legendary human wizard. Whenever you play a blue spell, creature gains flying until end of turn. Whenever you play a red spell, it deals 1 damage to each creature without flying.
Mm.
This card is very good in the ideas of what I want is it to do in our thing. And I love these cards, like especially like Ravnica and first Ravnica block and first Innistrad block. I love these cards that were like, these are so cool, and they'll never see play. They
Mm.
never see play in constructed play. But in sealed,
Yeah.
in a place like this is a cool place to have a card like Tibur and Lumia running around.
Yeah, and like Baral and Kari Zev is not really that much different in its flavor either. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess its stat lines are fine. One blue red for a 2/4 human with first strike and menace. It's already better in that regard than
Mm-hmm.
new play space versus like old play
Yeah.
space. Way different. But
Yeah.
whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, you may cast a spell with lesser mana value that shares a card type with it from your hand without paying its cost. If you don't, make first mate Ragavan a legendary 2/1 red monkey pirate creature token against haste till end of turn.
Yeah. So it's a you get to play a spell that's smaller than something that you did, or you get a monkey.
Yeah. So like
Or
I'm trying to
dragon.
like think about like a play pattern in your cube. So like what you cast like a thrill of possibility. You get to
Mm-hmm.
freely lightning bolt something, or you
Sure.
make a 2/1.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and if you do that and it triggers, I don't know, Kiln Fiend twice and sets you up, cool.
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
I don't see either of these being like super broken in here. So I think whichever one you prefer. I like
Yeah.
Tibor and Lumia because I'm old,
Me too.
and old cards are more interesting to me.
I think Tibor and Lumia is where we're going to stand now, but don't be surprised if you come back to this cube later and uh,
Find the other one.
both have been added. Yeah.
Yeah, like we're probably going to end up somewhere in the space of adding like at least a couple to each one. But like I think that
Yeah.
this is like a good. I just like
It's a
going through
good
because
start.
it lets us like talk through because we haven't talked much about this in a little bit either.
Yeah.
So just refreshing us. So I want to put one in that isn't going to be as funny, like as interesting as far as the cube goes, and doesn't play into anything at all.
It hit
We're now
me.
on to Golgari. So we have two options of like pure Golgari, multiple characters on a card.
Mm-hmm.
You have Sisters of Stone Death, which is
Mm-hmm.
like an 8 mana thing, like Tristani, the 8 mana, or no, the
Like
Conclave,
Call of
Force
the
of the Conclave.
Conclave. Yeah.
Basically, same thing. It's like a bunch of text on a 7/5 for 8 mana. It's a
Mm-hmm.
Gorgon, and it has pay a green. Target creature blocks this if able, so it causes something to have lure.
Mm-hmm.
Green black, remove from the game target creature blocking or blocked by Sisters of Stone Death. And 3 and a black, put target creature removed from the game with Sisters of Stone Death into play under your control. Interesting play pattern, really expensive. I don't know if it's going to go there. Or Yargle and Multani.
Yeah. Yargle and Murtani is 3 black, black, green for an 18/6.
That's it.
So one of the team up cards we already have in the deck in the monocolor version is Surak and Goreclaw.
Mm-hmm.
So with the perfect amount of luck, you might be able to get Yargle out, get Surak and Goreclaw out right after it on the next turn, and immediately swing in for 18. That is probably not what's going to happen.
Fun to try though.
But it is fun to try. I'm in. Let's do it.
I just like I specifically like jammed both Yargles into like my Joda deck, my Legendaries Matter deck, because I think that Yargle is just like a beautiful creation in all respects. I think that like it takes us to a simpler time where like a creature was good when it was just stupid big.
Mm-hmm. I also like Yargle because flavor-wise, they did a lot to take what is essentially a very evil being and have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's one of the things that, like, if you look at old Magic stuff, we should go into this in a full topic episode sometime. But if you look at some of the lore of Magic throughout the years, sometimes they find a character and they just have fun with it. And anytime they have fun with that character becomes a fan favorite
Mm-hmm.
instantly.
Mm-hmm. Like I especially like Yargle because of all the other dumb places they put Yargle. Like Yargle,
Mm-hmm.
Yargle is just like a frog beast from Urborg that got like absorbed the evil spirit that was like around and then turned into a frog spirit, and it's like just big and dumb. And now there's a picture of Yargle standing on like a cliff top overlooking on a version of Explorer that I want really bad. That's like $25 for friggin' Explorer, but it
Uh-huh.
looks super cool.
Yeah, from the Yargle secret layer drop or whatever.
Well, because it's from September 3rd, like it's Yargle Day, right? Because he's
Mm-hmm.
like a
He's a
9/13
nine
or whatever,
three. Yeah, 9/3.
or 9/3.
Yeah.
So like it's just
September 3rd is his.
so. But yeah, so I this is where I like putting stuff like that also in like my decks because I always build decks with dumb things in them.
Right. Yargle,
Uh,
I've come to Bargle.
yeah. I actually, if you look in the flavor text on Yargle and Multani, Yargle's response actually contains the word ribbit.
Ribbit. It's my favorite thing ever.
Ribbit.
Ribbit. Replied Yargle.
Okay, on to Boros.
Mhm.
We have two options for you to choose. Three, technically, actually.
Okay.
We have good old Anax and Cymede,
Mm-hmm.
which is heroic, so probably not great.
Yeah.
Heroic is the one where, like, whenever something targets this thing, then it does a cool thing. So we need spells that would actually like target and buff Anax and Cymede, which is like a
Mm-hmm.
feather deck, and I don't know that that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
We have Fire Song and Sunspeaker, which is actually possibly quite interesting. Doesn't do anything with tokens for the white, but it definitely plays into the spells that you want for red. Fire Song and Sunspeaker is 4 red white for a 4/6 Minotaur Cleric, which is also just cool. Red instant and sorcery spells you control have lifelink, and whenever a white instant or sorcery spell causes you to gain life, Fire Song and Sunspeaker deals 3 damage to target creature or player. So it turns all your white spells, like it turns your it causes you to gain life. So it turns like your blessings into lightning bolts, and it turns your lightning bolts into blessings.
Yep.
And our last option is Juru and Hazaret, which is 2 red, red, white for a 5/4 human god. And as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, this thing has vigilance and haste, which maybe will happen in a queue, but like that's not really where this is important. Whenever it attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may exile a legendary creature card from among them, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and until end of turn, you may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. I don't know how well this is going to go depending on how many legendaries we end up with in these colors. Now, if we go
Mm-hmm.
a little bit like, if we go to the point where like you can have stronger monocolored possibilities, then this card does get good.
If we look at our current list and we look under white, our current good white or our current white legendaries are Adeline and Heliod and Zerium and Abdel Edrain. So the biggest hit that you can hit right now on white would be Adeline, I think, without question. And in red, we have Circara, Torbran, Riona, and Toralf, which again are decent hits, but I don't know if they're like sock and bopper hits. I think trying to lean into the legendary part of Jeru based on what we've been doing with the cube so far is not going to end up getting you the field that you're hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always hesitant about cards that do legendary spell stuff because of how often legendary spells appear in Commander. But I'm just as interested in Sunspeaker, Sunforger and Firespeaker. If you want to
Yeah, no,
try that one,
we can stick it there. It does fit one of them fairly well. I'm trying to keep us moving at a decent pace.
yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Hopefully, I'm not rushing too much, but just keeping us trucking along. Okay, so we have two options for Simic. Green blue.
Okay.
We have Adrix and Nev twin casters, which doubles the tokens that you make. And we have Inga and Isika, which creates, or which makes all your creatures mana dorks.
Yes. And it also gives all of your creatures vigilance. And also, when you cast a creature spell, if 3 or more mana from creatures was spent to cast it, you draw a card. I'm very hesitant about cards that give all creatures any keyword, flying, vigilance, anything like that. And that's only because cards that may not be that bad to deal with when they get turned sideways become insanely good if you can give them vigilance, you know? Also, Atrix and Nev is kind of a pain in the butt too. Like, we're not really running a lot of tokens in green red though, so it's not going to do that, you know? Like,
no, but it will show up in like the Bant decks that end up doing tokeny stuff.
Yeah, and
I think that's probably more of a problem.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right. I don't know in this particular case. I don't know if either of the multi color cards or multi character cards is the way to go. Just because after having played against Inga and Eska during sealed events, I'm like, every time my opponent played that, suddenly they always had blockers, they always had attackers, and they could draw spells whenever they wanted.
Okay, well, we'll have to come up with another one, but that actually just fleshed out our 2-color pairs. We just added another legendary to each 2-color pair, and we pulled specifically from the multi-character. So I feel really good about this so far.
Excellent, yeah.
The only thing we need to do now is find a Simic legendary that isn't stupid broken.
Yeah, which might take some time, but we can work on it at some point. Simic legendaries tend to be really good, but we'll figure it out.
Or really bad.
Or really bad. Sometimes they're really bad.
Ones that you want to be really good end up not being very good, like Gretchen Titchwillow I really want to be good, and she just isn't.
Yeah, Zimone and Gretchen Titchwillow.
Yeah, I know. I keep trying to jam those into all sorts of things, and they're always like my first cut.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. Feel it 100%. So,
okay.
Before we head off, do we want to just look through this list and see if there's anything else that we go, yeah, this should go in, even if it's awkward or silly or fun? Or
the
multi-character cards. I've got one off the top of my head. Borborygmos and Fibblethip.
Done. Yep.
Too fun. Folks, basically what it does is when it attacks or enters the battlefield, you draw a card. You may discard any number of land cards. And when you do discard land cards, it deals twice that much damage to a target creature. It also has the Fibblethip thing of putting it back in the library, in this case, third from the top. It's a fun card. It's just fun and silly, and you're not going to get off the discard land stuff all that often in Cube, but it's just fun to be able to play with cards like that. So we're gonna do that.
You would have to like go through some serious hoops to get enough lands in your hand to just like offload them. Well, speaking of Zimone, Zimone and Dina is pretty interesting. I don't know how you feel, like if it's too busted or not, but
it's Sultai. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, target opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life, and then you can tap, sack another creature, draw a card. You may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you control 8 or more lands, repeat this process once. It sounds really big. I think more often than not, you're going to loot and drain somebody for 2. It's not going to be a big deal.
I do not see this being a massive thing. Even
Yeah,
if you do end up like you get to draw a card and like you growth spiral. You sack a creature, you
yeah,
growth spiral. Is growth
yeah,
spiral a broken card?
yeah. But Growth Spiral also doesn't make you sacrifice a creature. So
No, right? Like it's
yeah,
and I'm saying I like it in. I want to see what happens with it. We can pull it out
yeah.
later.
No, I
I
think
just
it's
like it
cool.
as a card. Also, it
Um,
does suit like it doesn't so much suit the like. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. With the blue and the black in there, like the Demir in there is going to be looking at the
mhm.
graveyard anyway, and this puts creatures in the graveyard, and it does do the like drain thing, the sacrificing stuff. So any of your death triggers are going to end up counting when you sacrifice something. I think it does suit a bit, if not the +1/+1s. I
Mhm.
recognize that it doesn't do that.
How do we feel about Slimefoot and Squee?
I love the card in general. I
Okay.
think that it's cute as F, and I have every plan to actually. I've been looking at like building it any which way.
Yeah, let's throw it in. Let's have fun with it.
Uh, Slimefoot and Squee. There was another one that I just saw that like I got distracted from. I like Gorogoro and Saturo, but I don't think it suits like the monocolored archetypes that we've selected.
Let's see. Yeah, it having to do combat damage is a thing. Yeah, blue in our blue, black, red, we just don't. I don't feel like we hit creatures in a way that would facilitate that situation. Although it is fun, we could just throw it in because it's fun.
Like it does give creatures haste. Pretty. It gives the Gorogoro haste gift like granting.
Uh huh.
So like anything could work if you were just trying to get that 5/5.
Yeah, for sure.
Make a token, give it haste, but we don't do tokens in this one either. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not like super sold on it. I just think it's neat.
What about Shalai and Halar? One, it's in Girid's colors, Naya. Flying Vigilance 3/3. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, Shalai and Halar deal that much to target opponent.
So what I like about Shalai and Halar is that it gives more focus on the other parts of that color combo that we've got in the cube. Because
Mm-hmm.
Girid is really good at the tokeny part, and that's going to be where like white focus comes from. But this is more
Mm-hmm.
of like if we're going to do +1s.
Yeah.
I do like that part of it.
Yeah.
What was the other one I was looking at here? Saint Traft and Rem Carolus.
I think this card's really funny. The first time it becomes tap, get a red human. Second time, get a blue spirit with flying. Third time, make a 4/4 white angel with flying.
Oh, but it's convoke specific. Like you need to be able to
Yeah.
untap it every turn. Okay, maybe
Yeah.
this isn't a super great option for us.
Yeah, it's cool, but I don't think it quite fits.
Oh, Rashmi and Ragavan is one I was interested in.
Rashmi and Ragavan? Okay.
One green, blue, red for a 2/4 elf monkey. And whenever you cast your first spell during each of your turns, exile the top card of target opponent's library and create a treasure token. Then you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost if it's a spell with a mana value less than the number of artifacts you control. If you don't cast it this way, then you may cast it this turn. So you can always cast that
Mhm.
spell, but if you have enough artifacts,
And I mean, like, hey, like the package, the main package that we hand out people to get started has a couple artifacts in it anyway, so it gives them
mhm.
something to play with, even if we don't end up adding a ton of artifacts to the
Yeah,
board.
and it's like so we end up with like even if you end up with like four and you look and like it's like a 4 mana spell, like you can still
Hmm.
cast the 4 mana spell,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I think it's
Even
cool.
if you don't cheat it. I think it's neat.
Yeah.
I keep trying to make Rashmi like Eternity Crafter or whatever it's called. Eternity's Crafter, the one that just like
Hmm.
gives fake cascade.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I
One of
can't even
the
remember what the
that
words are,
pseudo
but
casse thing. Yeah.
I keep trying to make it work and it never works.
Uh,
So we just randomly decided to add another 5 cards. No big deal. Not worried about it.
Excellent, excellent. No problems.
We're gonna have some work ahead of us balancing out our color combos. Not so like possibly in power, but mostly in quantity. Still doing Halana and Elena.
Okay, I think that's absolutely right. I almost went back and said it. So, but yeah,
I just like the card.
and I think if we're going to take anything out of the lesson for today, is be willing to be flexible to make things work so that you can have the most amount of fun possible. Like originally, I had an idea, and the idea was fun, but if it becomes unmanageable, it's better to build something and try to have fun with it and see where your balance goes than to not build it, not complete something, even if you think your idea is cool,
and then have no cube to play.
And have no cube to play.
I'd rather a bad cube to play to work on than no cube to play at all.
Yeah. So I think that take that as you will, folks, and thank you so much for checking us out.
How you feeling after like all these like massive, like the multiple massive philosophy shifts?
You know, I feel good about anything that makes me jumpstart back into wanting to do a project. Because one of my big things when it comes to finishing things is that something will happen, we'll get stuck in a craw, and then it just doesn't end. I don't finish it because something comes up, and I just go, okay, bye. I don't have the mental acuity for this right now. So being able to take a leap and do something that it's like, okay, we all think these multi-character cards are interesting. Let's play with it a little bit and see what happens. It feels good. It makes it feel fresh again and something that we can start pushing toward an actual finished cube. And at this point, we are well over maybe a fifth of what we need.
I mean, just today alone, after adding back in stuff, we've added in 7, 10, 11, 12, 26. We've added 26 cards just today alone.
26 cards, which again is another substantial boost to how big the thing is. And we're at a total of 126 cards, which if we're looking to get up towards what, 700, 800 ish?
Yeah, somewhere in there. I'm not even sure what number we're looking at yet.
Yeah, we got a good chunk in, so it gives us stuff to play with in red, stuff to play with in some of the other colors that are lacking a little bit. So I think it's good.
I think it's going to give us some good direction on how to flesh out the other colors too, because when we were looking, I remember discussing specifically red. It's like, what do we do with red? Well, if its spells matter, then like, how do we make this work? And we were looking and staring at it. And it's like, there's only so many lightning bolts that you can play. So I think this is going to give us a little bit of wiggle room, because now we're going to get to look and see how we can support some of the other multicolored cards that like commanders that we've chosen to insert and say, okay, well, while this doesn't necessarily serve this, it will serve this in the long run. And
right, it'll serve the greater purpose.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to give us a little bit more flexibility in what we put in. And maybe we'll also find that like maybe we can have, say, 2 different themes for each monocolor and like help us flesh it out. Also, like if we're shooting for like 700 or 800 cards, like there is a lot of flexibility on what can go in here. So we don't have to just like hammer down and then start playing bad cards to make sure that we stick to the theme. Like we can do whatever we want. Yep. And I'm looking forward to having left it in this space. Like I think that it's going to be a little bit easier to start finding things that are going to excite us to put in here, because we want to pick our favorites, and now we have more room for our favorites.
Yeah, I think overall this is looking like a good list. And remember, if y'all want to see where our list is, any progress, you can come check out our Cube Cobra, which will probably be in the show notes. And you can always leave comments below. What do you think would fit well with the ideas that we've been coming up with? We may use them, and you can see your favorite card in the Commander Cube.
Yep. That was going to be my plug too, my call to action. So yeah, do what Matt said. Do it down there, or hit us up on any of the socials, which you'll hear shortly after in our outro. Matt, thank you so much for being a good sport. I know that this was a little bit of a change from what you were hoping to get out of it, but I think that you're going to be happier in the long run. And I appreciate you on being flexible and like, actually, this wasn't even my idea. You figured it out on your own.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I agree. And you can stay excited and get more excited with us next time on Unlimited Commander. Have a great time.
Bye.
If you liked what we had to say, consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support goes directly to growing and improving the show.
You can also like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Make sure to comment or leave a review. The cast can also be found on Twitter at Unlimited Commander.
You can find Matt's Twitch, Twitter, and other YouTube projects at knowledgepoolmtg.com.
And Adam can be found on Twitch and Twitter at Adamus_Prime86.
Our theme song is Polaroid by Harris Heller, licensed by Creative Commons.